Hello. In this series of videos, I'm going to be illustrating or talking about the Hermetica, and I'm going to go over the Hermetica in a series of videos. And I'm going to start with the initiation of Hermes. And what I'm going to do is first I'm going to read to you the text, the ancient text, and then we're going to move over to the pad and we're going to illustrate the hidden messages within using symbols and keys. Now, before I get started, I just want to say that I am not a Hermeticist. I only want to decode the ancient Egyptian wisdom from the scholars' text because the Hermetica was written by a group of scholars that studied in the Library of Alexandria, and they went to Egypt and they learned a lot of this knowledge and they put this text together. And what you'll find is if you read the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, the Hermetica, the Kabbalion or the Kabbalah, Emerald tablets, using reading comprehension, you can distill the hidden messages within the stories. In computer science, an executable program will have a human readable code, but also have shellcode hexadecimal characters to obfuscate or hide its true function or intention, like a secret code. So consider the stories in these ancient books as executable program, and using reading comprehension, we can find the shellcode, and through deep thought and reflection, we can even decipher the shellcode in the story. So let's get started. In the initiation of Hermes, it begins. It begins with my senses were suspended in a mystic sleep, not a weary, full-fed drowsiness, but an alert and conscious emptiness. Released from my body, I flew with my thoughts, and while I soared, it seemed to me a vast and boundless being called my name. Hermes, what are you looking for? Who are you? I asked. I am the way guide, the supreme mind, the thoughts of Adam, the one God. I am with you always and everywhere. I know your desires. Make your questions conscious, and they will be answered. Show me the nature of reality. Bless me with knowledge of Adam, I begged. Suddenly, everything changed before me. Reality was opened out in a moment. And by the way, I'm reading from the Hermetica by Timothy Freak and Peter Gandy. So this is the version that I have. It's not everything. It's not a complete copy, but this has got enough in here to get you started on your journey and enlightenment. So, getting to the next page, next passage here. I saw the boundless view. All became dissolved in light, united within one joyous love. Yet the light cast a shadow, grim and terrible, while passing downwards became like restless water, chaotically tossing forth spume like smoke, and I heard an unspeakable lament, an inarticulate cry of separation. The light then uttered a word, which calmed the chaotic waters. We're going to refer back to this passage when we begin our illustration because this right here is what I was referring to as the shellcode embedded inside the executable program. Let's keep going. My guide asked, do you understand the secrets of this vision? I am that light, the mind of God, which exists before the chaotic water, the chaotic dark waters of potentiality. My calming word is the Son of God, the idea of beautiful order, the harmony of all things with all things. Primal mind is parent of the word. Just as in your own experience, your human mind gives birth to speech. They cannot be divided one from the other, for life is the union of mind and word. Now fix your attention upon the light and become one with it. When he had said this, he looked into me, eye to eye, until trembling I saw in thought limitless power within the light to, to form an infinite yet ordered world, and I was amazed. I saw in the darkness of the deep, chaotic water without form, permeated with a subtle, intelligent breath of divine power. Adam's word fell on the fertile waters, making them pregnant with all forms, ordered by the harmony of the word. The four elements came into being, combining to create the brood of living creatures. The fiery element was articulated as the constellations of the stars and the god of the seven heavenly bodies, revolving forever in celestial circles. The word then leaped up from the elements of nature and reunited with the mind, the maker, leaving mere matter devoid of intelligence. My guide said, "You have perceived the boundless primal idea, which is before the beginning. By Adam's will, the elements of nature were born as reflections of this primal thought in the waters of potentiality. These are the primary things, the prior things, the first principles of all in the universe. Adam's word is the creative idea, the supreme limitless power which nurtures and provides for all the things that through it are created. I have shown you everything. Why do you wait? Write the wisdom you have understood in hieroglyphic characters carved on stone in the holy sanctuary. Make yourself a spiritual guide to those worthy of the gift of knowledge, so that through you, Atom may save humankind." I was overwhelmed with gratitude to the All Father who had graced me with the supreme vision. In awe and reverence, I prayed, "Please never let me fall away from this knowledge of your being, so that I may enlighten those who are in darkness." Then, with this power in me, I began to speak. The aloof laughed at my words, but others knelt at my feet. I told them to stand and receive the seeds of wisdom, which I will sow in you with these teachings. So listen, men of clay. If you do not pay keen attention, my words will fly past you and wing their way back to the source from which they came. That was a pretty deep passage, and a lot to decipher there. So what I want to do is, for the illustration part, I want to start with um, where he saw that boundless view, and he was able to decode where God asked him, "Do you understand the secrets of the vision?" Okay, so we're going to illustrate what he saw. So how we can use reading comprehension to actually understand this is by reading in between the lines. And if you understand alchemy, then this will be easy for you to decipher. So let's start with this section here. "I saw a boundless view. All became dissolved in light, united within one joyous love." Keyword love. "Yet the light cast a shadow, grim and terrible, which passing downwards became like restless water." So, in alchemy, we're going to use alchemy to decipher this, to distill this, okay? So, in alchemy, the symbol for light would be fire. So, this is a symbol for fire. And he said, the light cast a shadow. Said, "Yet the light cast a shadow, grim and terrible, which passing downwards, this is a key, because the alchemical symbol for water is an upside down triangle facing downwards. So now we've got ourselves like an hourglass. Fate passing downwards became like restless water, chaotically tossing forth spume like smoke." So that would be air. So the alchemical symbol for air is the triangle upright with a line like this. That is the alchemical symbol for air. And let's move this up a little bit so you can see. Trying to adjust the camera real quick so you can see. All right. And he said, and I heard an unspeakable lament, an inarticulate cry of separation. That's also alchemical code for the alchemy process of circulation through distillation or spagyrics. So when he's talking about the inarticulate cry of separation, he's talking about the cry of mercury. So mercury being the sulfur being separated from the mercury in the body, with mercury is a volatile element. So when Jesus was crucified on the cross, there was a part where he said, "Why have you forsaken me?" Because he was dying on the cross. His soul, his conscience had separated itself so it wouldn't feel the pain, and so the mercury in him was what cried out. That was a alchemical part of the story. And so we're going to move on to uh, expand on this, and let's see what else we can uncover here. And the light uttered the light then uttered a word which calmed the chaotic waters. So the light uttered a word. The light, which is the fire, uttered a word which calmed the chaotic waters. So that word was love. Love. Now, I'm not saying that God literally said love. No, the word was. This is symbolic here. This is we're speaking symbolically here. Okay, so God is love beyond reason and compassion beyond reason, unconditional love. God loves, the Creator loves all of His creation, no matter what. Okay, so uttered a word which calmed the chaotic waters. The guide asked me, "Do you understand the secrets of this vision?" And he said, now here we get to the cool part here. "Do you understand the secrets of this vision? I am that light, the mind of God, which exists before the chaotic waters of potentiality." So, what does he mean by that? Well, using the ancient symbols from Egypt, we can come to understand that what he means is he says, "I am that light. I am that light, the mind, the mind of God, which exists before the chaotic waters." Okay? Of potentiality. My common word is the Son of God, meaning his word is the sun. Let's create our sun. And the sun is a giant atom. Now, in this text, they wrote SON, but it really means SUN. I should have waited till I connected that part, but we'll get to that. I'll explain that later. And so, if we're talking scientifically here, you know, even if you don't believe in spirituality, if we're talking scientifically here, we're talking about the atom. And he's saying that his word is the Son of God, the idea of beautiful order, the idea of beautiful order, the harmony of all things with all things the primal mind is a parent of. The primal mind is a parent of. And just as in your own experience, your human mind gives birth to speech. So, yeah, just like in our own experience, being the son or daughter of God, our mind gives birth to speech. And this cannot be divided from the other, for life is union of mind and word. Life is union of mind and word. Okay? And now fix your attention upon the light and become one with it. So he was saying, fix your consciousness, your attention upon the light. Bring your awareness here, become one with it. When he had said this, he looked into me. When he had said this, he looked into me, eye to eye. Okay? Eye to eye. And until trembling, I saw and thought limitless power within the light, because he had connected his consciousness to the mind of God, the primal mind, and was one with God. And so what you have here is, he said, I was amazed. I saw the darkness of the deep, chaotic water without form, because he raised his consciousness up here with the primal mind, and he was able to see things from a higher perspective. And you're probably wondering, how is that possible? Well, we're going to continue. I saw the chaotic water without form permeated from the deep. So let's draw the water. Permeated with subtle, intelligent breath of divine power. Adam's word fell on the fertile waters, making them pregnant with all forms, ordered by the harmony of the word. The four elements came into being, combining to create a brood of living creatures. So the four elements, air, after the water, you got air, and you have earth, alchemical symbol for earth, and you have the fire, which is alchemical, which is also one of the four elements as well. Now you can draw this in a different way as well. So if we were to, let's say, let's do it like this, so you can understand. So you have waters, the water, the air, and you have the let me do it like this. I want to line it up right. So let's do it like this. Yeah. Water, air, and you have the earth, and fire. The four elements came into being and combining to create the brood of living creatures. So combining to create the brood of living creatures. And what you have here is a symbolic representation of the Egyptian scarab. Okay? A symbolic representation of the Egyptian scarab. And you'll see this depicted in so many ways in Egypt. You'll see the you'll see the the feet come out like this, and you'll see that they'll even draw like the wing come out like that. And you'll see like right here, you'll see like a circle as well. And you'll see this type of design sometimes when you look at Egyptian artifacts. You'll see it defined like that. Okay. Um, the fiery element was articulated as the constellation of the stars and the gods of the seven heavenly bodies. So, what he means by that is so this is symbolic as well. So, let's start with drawing the seven heavenly bodies and we can draw the constellation of the stars. So, we'll work our way in, we'll start in and work our way out. Okay. So, the seven heavenly bodies, if you were to go like this, and you got your first planet away from the sun is Mercury. Second planet away from the sun is Venus. The third planet away from the sun is Earth. The fourth planet away from the sun is Mars. Uh, the fifth planet away from the sun, and let's do it like this. Fifth planet away from the sun is Jupiter. And the sixth planet away from the sun is Saturn. The seventh planet away from the sun is Uranus, or Your Highness, is like I like to say, even though it's not spelled that way. um, and the eighth planet away from the sun is Neptune. Now, this isn't the order the planets are in currently, but if you draw odd on one side, even on one side, you'll be surprised at what it actually creates. And the ninth planet, some would argue is Pluto, which it would be correct, but it's in this circumstance, it would actually represent the sun. Okay, and I'll tell you why. It's because at one point, I'll put it like this. I'll show you why the ninth planet would be considered the sun. When we're talking about Pluto, we're talking about a different key, and I'll explain that key in another class. But the reason why this would be a sun is because what I'm showing you is that over the course of a year, the sun travels up and down this pole in an infinite loop. There was a photographer from Italy that took a picture of the sun every day for a year and actually mapped that path of the sun. And I forgot, I can't even remember that photographer's name. I reached out to that photographer because I wanted to include that image in my book, but that photographer never responded to me. But if you Google the sun's path in infinite loop um, photographed, you'll find that photographer's image on the internet on his page. The picture is on their website, on their blog. It's pretty cool. And so this is a symbolic representation of the sun. Our sun is a giant atom. So what people don't know is that Christ rises every morning, every day. Christ rises every day. The sun is the living Christ. The sun is the living Christ. Okay. Um, it's not to be worshipped, though. You know, you're not supposed to worship the sun. The Egyptians did not worship the sun. The Egyptians just understood that their life force came from the sun, that all life that grows on the earth came from the sun. And that life force that life force powers the four elements of nature, which actually produces life on earth and in this universe. So moving on to the next part, creating the constellations, because remember he said that the fiery element was articulated as the constellation of the stars and the gods of the seven heavenly bodies. So drawing the constellation of the stars, we would bring this out some more and bring this out some more, bring this out some more, bring this out some more, bring that out some more, bring that out some more, because we're talking about now the wheel of time here. And bring this out some more, and bring this out some more. We're probably going to have to add a couple more lines here. But so now we can put our constellation, our zodiac signs out here. And I'm not going to put this in the correct order. I'm just going to just do this for, illustration purposes so you can get an idea. So we'll start with Aries. We could, doing this, you can either use symbols or just write the word. Taurus, you know, Taurus, uh, Gemini, let's see who we have here. Cancer and Leo, Virgo and Libra, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, um, Sagittarius. I can't even spell Sagittarius. Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. So what we would do here is just come off of here, come off of here, Aquarius, Pisces. Okay, so now let's see if we can zoom out a little bit so you can see this better. All right, there we go. And so this is what he was seeing. Revolving forever in celestial circles, the word then leaped up. The word then leaped up from the elements of nature. So you can, because the sun travels up and down this central pole in an infinite loop like this. The word then leaped up. You see the word is hidden in here. You see it hidden in here? Yeah. And after it leaped up from the elements of nature and reunited with the mind and the maker right here. And it and leaving the matter devoid of intelligence. And so what you see here is that this was a symbolic representation. This, what we just drew here, was a symbolic representation of the mind of Adam. And what you are witnessing here is, like, through deep thought and, I would say, self-reflection, you can come to know, you can begin to come to know the creator through this, because you can't describe God in words. You can only hope to visualize and begin to put the pieces of the puzzle together, because no one can understand the true nature of God at all. That is impossible for a human mind to comprehend. The all is always evolving source. If you call God source, source light, the creator, Allah, God, whatever, you can't describe God, because God is always evolving. And what you have here is a symbolic representation of what Leonardo da Vinci was trying to tell us when he created the Vitruvian Man. He was not creating the perfect man, showing us a perfect man. He was showing us that we are all multidimensional beings, and we are products of the universe. Leonardo da Vinci was initiated in Egypt. He was initiated into the ancient temples in Egypt, and he was taught the ancient ways of the Egyptian knowledge, and he was able to create all of those beautiful drawings and paintings and things like that, because he understood exactly, he saw the same thing that Hermes was talking about. he went through the initiation of the death and rebirth, and when he was initiated in Egypt. And a lot of people don't know that this was like, an ancient school of thought. But when the Romans decided to adopt Christianity, they killed everyone that understood this knowledge, and they forced people to convert to their version of Christianity by the sword. So this knowledge ended up getting killed off from the earth. And now you see what you see here. Now, if you pay close attention, you'll see here why Christians why Christians believe in someone called Jesus Christ when Jesus Christ wasn't even his name. This is when Romans adopted Christianity. They took the symbols from Egypt and made God in their image. Because what you see here is Jesus hanging on the cross. Now you understand Christ was crucified when the truth was removed from the face of the earth. This is when the Christ consciousness was crucified. And this is when, they decided they're going to change his appearance and give him, long hair. And they killed everyone. Remember in the story, the Romans stabbed him. They stabbed him as well. Um, this is they poked him, and they said, he before he took his last breath. Remember in the beginning of this story, he saw chaotically, and I heard an unspeakable lament, an inarticulate cry of separation. It's the same story, the story of Jesus, when right here, when the soul separated from the mercury cries out, is volatile, is saying that mercury is a volatile force, a volatile element. And so this is when Jesus cried out, "Why have you forsaken me?" This is the same story, just remixed by the Romans. They took this knowledge that was once known as truth. Understanding this helps you elevate your consciousness, because we can actually uncrucify and resurrect Christ by distilling the truth. And now, understanding that we live inside of a wheel of time, which is what Leonardo da Vinci was trying to tell us. We live inside of a wheel of time, inside of the primal mind of God. And with this understanding, you come to understand that this knowledge was found inside of the Sphinx. And this is when, and if you notice the Sphinx, remember the Sphinx got his nose shot off? The nose was removed from the Sphinx? Yeah. So now, symbolically representing how the nose was removed from the Sphinx, the head of the Sphinx. The Christ consciousness was crucified, meaning the stake was driven in our skulls, our pineal gland was deactivated, and it turned to stone. And in alchemy, turning lead into gold was not something for people to get rich. It was to activate your pineal gland and focus your awareness. Because remember where he said, Where did he say it? He said, now fix your attention upon the light and become one with it. That's the that's the secret, the sorcerer's stone, how you turn lead into gold. Fix your attention on the light. And that's how you turn lead into gold, by activating your pineal gland. And more importantly, more importantly, your heart space. Because the recombination of this, activating your heart space, with love, then you activate the God light, the divine spark within you. And you are now one with God, one with Christ. And now, when you speak love into existence, into this world, into reality, you are actually speaking the word when you are walking in love. These are the secrets that were taught in ancient Kemet. The secrets that were taught. And this is how we continued to evolve when we were in Egypt. But Egypt was compromised. They fell because they fell away from the light, and they forgot the way of the flame. They forgot the name of the flame. And so consciousness was put to sleep in the earth. The earth's consciousness was fractured, and nobody remembered who they were, their connection to the source light. Nobody believed any of that anymore. This pencil is really driving me nuts. There we go. And so, this is all ancient knowledge from from Egypt, and we can all come to understand where it came from when we actually reflect and visualize the stories, the knowledge that was told to us. The statues, the structures, the pyramids in Egypt, the Sphinx in Egypt are all keys, because the heaven is modeled after the heavens. So this was the initiation of Hermes in the Hermetica. This is how they got the story of the crucifixion of Christ, because it was taken from an understanding of how alchemy works. Christ was crucified more than once in this world. The Christ consciousness was crucified more than once in this world. And a lot of people don't realize that. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. This was the initiation of Hermes. And in the next video, I'll talk about the being of Adam. So stay tuned for the next one. Until then, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. And if you want, we could keep going, and I'll show you, like, this is basically, let me see here. Yeah. This is basically how and why you see like the Jewish religion using the that star, the Merkaba, and claiming it's the Star of David. It's not the Star of David. It's actually the atom, but they call it the Star of David because every religion that exists on this planet they learned what they learned from Egypt. The Hermetica was written by Muslims, Jewish people, and Christians, and um, this knowledge was distilled and separated and combined with others with their own sources, meaning they distilled this knowledge from Egypt, combined it with the Jewish religion, combined it with the Christian, the Catholic religion, the Roman Christian and Catholics, they combined it with Islam, with the Muslims. So it's all, every religion holds a piece of the truth, but this is a great start. The Hermetica is a great start to understand how this influenced these other religions by uh, going back to the books that were written before the Holy Bible was even argued about, before those group of men decided what went into the Holy Bible. Okay, so hope you enjoyed today's lesson. I'll be back for more with the being of Adam.